Today, by the grace of God, this festival is back, and I hope back for good.
President Buhari on the importance of culture as a tool for promoting a peaceful and prosperous nation.
In my view, what Nigeria needs most will be proper planning.
Senate passes for second reading bills on the Southeast and North Central Development Commissions.
We have had some preliminary agreements on what is to be done.
Federal government meets ASU to resolve lingering issues.
Nigeria has not yet placed any travel restriction or ban, but has strongly advised against non-essential travel to countries with high level of transmission.
And the federal government issues travel advisory to Nigerians on countries with high risk of coronavirus transmission. Hello, a lovely evening to you and welcome to the network service of the NTA. I am Joseph Johnson in Abuja. Well, it appears I'll be running solo tonight, but that's okay. Thanks for your company. Let's get down to business now. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the revival of Argungu Fishing and Cultural Festival in Kebbi State as a unique celebration of remarkable progress achieved in the restoration of peace and security in the Northwest region and indeed the country. Declaring open an agricultural fair a critical component of the festival, the president promised to remain firm, decisive and conscientious towards achieving a safe, secure and prosperous nation for all. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It was an exciting moment to behold as President Muhammadu Buhari watches with great satisfaction and fulfillment as Kebbi State showcases monumental achievements in rice farming and conveying the pleasurable feelings of its farmers, many of whom turned millionaires through the Rice Revolution program of his administration. Consequently, apart from agricultural products, the rich cultural heritage of the land of equity was also on display to show appreciation. Although 24th in its series, the Argungu Fishing and Cultural Festival was last celebrated 11 years ago as a result of security concern.
Today, by the grace of God, this festival is back, and I hope back for good. Just 6 years ago, no one would have expected to see payday pyramids or multi-billion naira rice mills in any part of rural Nigeria. Today, Argungu and many other agrarian towns have such mills, and I am told many more are coming. The many products displayed here are also proof of the progress we have made as a nation in feeding ourselves. The farming, fishing, and pastoral communities have truly embraced our programs and have proven that we can produce what we need.
The president noted with satisfaction that many international festivals are now being celebrated across Nigeria, thereby not only bringing the people closer together, but also appreciating the nation's diversities while portraying to non-Nigerians the country's cultural heritage and proud history.
In both instances, massive jobs are created in the tourism sector, which we all agree is still not fully developed. We must therefore continue to encourage, support, and promote such festivals. For our farmers, fishing communities, those in the livestock sector, and agro-entrepreneurs, you have truly made me proud.
Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu and the Emir of Argungu, Samaila Muhammad Mera, were full of appreciation to the president for what they called his nationalistic, patriotic and selfless policies on critical economic sectors, especially agriculture, thereby putting Nigeria on the path to a prosperous and sustainable future.
Even as we are battling drops in crude oil prices, Mr. President, we want to assure you that if we continue as we believe you will and you are doing with the commitment to agriculture, even the challenges in the global economy will have minimal impact on Nigeria.
We commend the federal government on the border closure policy and urge government to maintain the status quo.
During the event, Abdullahi Saidu, Maigandu, and Hajia Kulu Ali Namani Kotoko, who emerged Best Male and Female Farmers of the Year 2020, were recognized and rewarded. Also recognized were the best rice and fish farmers as well as cooperative groups. President Muhammadu Buhari has since returned to Abuja. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Sustaining the Nigeria's cultural heritage requires passion and commitment by upcoming generation to uphold the values for onward transmission to future generations. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu stated this at the grand finale of the quiz competition organized as part of activities to mark the 2020 Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival. Nura Tanko Wakili reports.
The quiz competition was organized as part of activities marking the famous Argungu International Fishing and Cultural Festival with a view to promoting academic excellence and instilling a sense of appreciation of cultural values in the participants. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, in a message delivered by his Chief of Staff Suleiman Muhammad Argungu, said the event, which drew participants from Sokoto, Kebbi and Zamfara states, was introduced to strengthen the underlying principles of the fishing festival, not only in tourism development, but value orientation.
The Kebbi state is no doubt interested in education.
He said the competition will be expanded to cover other states of the Federation in subsequent editions. Other activities conducted marking the festival include traditional archery and catapulting competitions, polo tournament, as well as donkey and camel racing, among others, with participants from Argungu, Anka, Kano, Mina, Yobe and Katsina Emirates, as well as neighboring Niger and Benin republics. The Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, described the colorful events as basic ingredients that spices Nigeria's cultural heritage for tourism development. The events were attended by custodians of traditional institutions, politicians, diplomats, and tourists from within and outside Nigeria. In Birnin Kebbi, Nura Tanko Wakili, NTA News.
The task of enabling greater growth and development of the Nigerian economy requires joint collaboration between the public and the private sectors. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this when he hosted critical stakeholders in Nigeria's private sector following the successful conclusion of the Going for Growth 2.0 roundtable session. State House correspondent Jide Nifade reports.
This government remains steadfast in seeking to promote growth of the Nigerian economy and by extension the growth of the Nigerian private sector.
President Muhammadu Buhari reiterating the commitment of his government to working with all Nigerians for continued growth. A key focus of the administration, the president says, has been diversification of the Nigerian economy and the proven level of self-sufficiency in food production, explaining that the measures help support faster economic growth, create employment opportunities for youth, and reduce import bills.
Following recent recession and supported by growth-enhancing fiscal and monetary policy measures, GDP growth has remained in positive territory for the past 11 quarters.
The president also comments on the coronavirus, which he says is having significant negative impact on the global economy, especially on crude oil price. These challenges, the president notes, only serve to reinforce the country's determination to be self-sufficient and that the vital role of Nigerian private sector cannot be overemphasized.
I assure you that this government would pay close attention to your recommendations as part of your efforts towards developing policies and programs that will enable improved economic growth and creation of jobs.
The Roundtable 2.0 was organized by the Central Bank of Nigeria to look into ways to get around the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the Nigerian economy. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says he is optimistic that Nigeria would get over the effect of the virus.
I hope and pray that in the next few months, as has been said, we will faithfully implement some of those plans, especially the financing plan, which looks very exciting indeed. And I hope that all of this will work well.
Participants from the financial sector agreed to create a special purpose vehicle working with the federal government and key development finance agencies. The well-structured special purpose vehicle will be used to mobilize close to 1.5 trillion naira in funds from banks, pension funds, and other financial institutions to fund road, power, and port infrastructure. The recommendations were also made on ways to improve broadband penetration in the country.
The first Going for Growth Roundtable session was held in 2019, which looked at ways in which the CBN would help shape economic outcomes in the country. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Ministries, departments and agencies, as well as private institutions, received special recognition from the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council for their contributions to the business environment reforms as envisioned by the federal government. This was at the PBEX 2020 Awards, tagged recognizing the gold in our green, held at the State House Conference Center. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has more.
Mr. Peter Adaji, the head of ICT.
The council recognizes ministries, departments and agencies, as well as other stakeholders that implemented effectively PBEX business enabling environment reform initiatives in the last 18 months.
Congratulations, NAFDAC. Let's hear it for NAFDAC.
PBEX chairman and host, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, on behalf of the President, thanked the PBEX Secretariat and all those that have worked tirelessly towards improving the economy of the country.
The awards they have received are a tribute to what we can achieve if we work purposefully and diligently, and they've proved that by diligent and purposeful work, a lot can be achieved indeed, and we've seen so much of what they've done, especially in the past 18 months. The private sector also deserves our heartfelt gratitude and commendation for their commitment and collaboration.
The awards are of various categories, and the Vice President equally urges recipients to do more in the promotion of friendly business environment.
But what is more important than moving the rankings and being, moving up each time is the need to ensure that all our efforts translate into long-term sustainable growth for the Nigerian economy.
PBEX Secretary and Special Advisor to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, reiterates that the Council will continue to collaborate with key stakeholders in order to create a more conducive business environment, even as the National Action Plan 5.0 comes into effect.
PBEX is committed to actualizing Nigeria's growth potential by helping the businesses that will create jobs, lift 100 million people out of poverty over the next 10 years, and deliver prosperity for all. As we continue our systemic intervention, we will zero in on supporting SMEs in 4 critical areas: agribusiness, creative sector, light manufacturing, and tech.
PBEX is doing something very great.
If we are customer focused, then we have to be sure that the customer gets their products reviewed on time, approved on time.
States such as Lagos, Kaduna, Kano, which are executing the reform initiatives, also received recognition. And the 2020 award is the third in the series. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Let's turn to the legislature now, because President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has observed that the global falling price of crude oil should be a challenge for Nigeria to devise other means of growing the nation's economy. Senator Lawan was speaking when he granted audience to members of the Council for New Nigeria. He noted that with appropriate policies and programs, Nigeria has the potential to grow even without oil. The President of the Senate expressed optimism that with the right policies and proper implementation, the aim of the federal government to take 100 million people out of poverty in the next 10 years is achievable.
And they are still making progress in their country. So we need to think maybe this is the time for us to also start thinking of taking people out of poverty and in a country without oil.
President Buhari promised to uplift 100 million people out of poverty. We thought about it, researched about it, and found out that it can be done.
The Council for New Nigeria is a support group by members of the All Progressives Congress and was formed to ensure the realization of President Muhammadu Buhari's economic agenda. And the Southeastern North Central Development Commission establishment bills have passed second reading in the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the Senate has considered 4 of these bills in the last 2 weeks.
It's been a week of second reading of bills in the Senate. More than 20 constitution amendment bills passed second reading within the week. But the Zonal Development Commission establishment bills are not constitutional alteration bills and therefore were thrown up for debate. Senator Stella Odua sponsored that of the Southeast Development Commission establishment bill, while Senator Abba Moro sponsored that of the North Central.
Assist the member states in formulation and implementation of policies to ensure sound and efficient management of resources of our Southeast.
It will provide employment opportunities, widen the avenue for people to show themselves, and then put the development to the benefit of all Nigerians.
Mr. President, flood has caused a lot of damage to the North Central Zone.
The key flashpoint for flooding is in the North Central Zone because that is where you have the confluence of Benue and Niger.
We have all agreed each geopolitical zone should have a development commission. But in my view, what Nigeria needs most will be proper planning.
Among the constitution amendment bills that passed second reading include the bills that seek to provide for the establishment of state police and to replace the name Nigerian Police Force with Nigerian Police, and the one that seeks to reduce unlawful exclusion of a political party logo on ballot paper to a pre-election matter.
A bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the establishment of state police and to ensure effective community policing in Nigeria and for matters connected there to 2020 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Constitutional Review. 5
bills passed first reading. These include the Open Defecation Prohibition Bill from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
In the meantime, worried about the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria based on statistics from UBEC and UNICEF, the House of Representatives dedicated plenary Thursday to debate the issue. National Assembly correspondent Lamiale reports that the House members exhaustively deliberated the motion for more than 5 hours.
Throughout the world, of all the out-of-school children in the world, 20% are Nigerians.
200 million people is an asset. But without education, Mr. Speaker, it becomes a burden.
When you go to the northeast, the insurgents were also the product of school dropout because they decided not to go to school to be useful to the nation, and in the end they become problem to the nation.
That set the tone for deliberation on the plight of out-of-school children in Nigeria, which the lawmakers call an existential problem.
The children, they cannot go and enroll themselves in school. It is the parents that are expected that have these responsibilities to do it. One of the major things that government is supposed to do is
to extend this school feeding program to all the nooks and crannies of this country.
The bipartisan contributions from House members revolve around key areas of consideration, which include conducting an investigation to ascertain the current number of out-of-school children with specific reference to states, the cultural, religious, social and economic factors responsible, and an assessment of total federal expenditure on basic education.
I believe that the religious leaders and traditional leaders in this country have a major role to play.
There should be a penalty on every head or every parent that doesn't send their child to school, since in most local governments and wards, there's free and fair education.
Other people in the private sector should emulate what Dangote and the Tony Elumelu Foundation are doing to ensure that they also support federal government to reduce the number of out-of-school children.
The House resolved to convene a public hearing to collate views of other stakeholders towards tackling the issue head-on for a life-changing empowerment of the people through education. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News with me, Joseph Johnson. Now, let's turn to health matters. And of course, our focus is on COVID-19 because hours after the World Health Organization declared the novel coronavirus a pandemic, the Nigerian government has issued a travel advisory to Nigerians traveling to China, Japan, South Korea, Italy and Iran. Minister of Health Osagie Hanire made the declaration during an interaction with the diplomatic community at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, restating that the 2 established coronavirus cases in Nigeria are responding to treatment. Usman Ali reports.
While the risks of further spread of the coronavirus increased around the world according to the World Health Organization, Nigeria has intensified efforts to contain the spread here. The government is rehabilitating treatment centers and is training clinicians as part of its rapid response mechanism. Here, the federal government organized this interaction with ambassadors and heads of missions in Nigeria on the situation so far in the country. The idea is just to enhance cooperation among global citizens to suppress the transmission. Nigeria explains to the global community measures put in place, more especially the checks at ports of entries, demand of travel records, medical examination for those with symptoms, as well as isolation centers for confirmed cases.
Nigeria has not yet placed any travel restriction or ban, but has strongly advised against non-essential travel to countries with high level of transmission.
The diplomats were also briefed by the Nigeria Immigration Service on the new visa policy, including the visa on arrival for tourists.
From 3 categories that we previously had to now 79 categories of visa.
An open communication like this is deliberately demonstrating Nigeria's policy strategy, which is striking for more diplomatic relations by making nations who have ties with Nigeria to simply understand reasons for some actions. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
And the Easter pilgrimage for 2020 has been put on hold. This was announced at the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission Board and Management Retreat, which held in Abuja. Lydia Odije-Ochi will tell us more.
The coronavirus outbreak has become one of the biggest threats to the global economy, especially on transport and tourism. With the approach of Easter, it is the normal practice for the Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission to make plans towards a successful pilgrimage, but this time around, things are different. The board and management of NCPC are meeting with key players to deliberate and improve on future pilgrimage operations generally in Nigeria.
So it's not about faith, it's more about us being proactive and to do something that we think will be in the best interest of Nigeria, of course, and the nations that we intend to visit.
We are looking at where have we failed, where do we need to put more effort.
The theme of the retreat is paradigm shift in operations. Lydia Odije-Ochi, NTA News.
Still talking health, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has advocated for the support of all Nigerians to be accorded to the Guild of Medical Directors of Nigeria to facilitate their activities at complementing government efforts towards the provision of world-class healthcare services to Nigerians. The First Lady stated this while receiving in audience the Guild of Medical Directors, who paid a courtesy visit on her. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The officials of the Guild of Medical Directors, led by the President, Professor Femi Babalola, were at the State House to seek for possible partnership with the Future Short program of the First Lady in a bid to improve the health and the general well-being of Nigerians. The President told the First Lady of their commitment at complementing government efforts towards the provision of qualitative healthcare services to millions of Nigerians.
We need to have access to reasonable credit facilities, the provision of a special private healthcare intervention fund, and hospital plots should be allocated to healthcare providers.
While assuring them of her continued support to that regard, the First Lady also promised to continue to advocate for the availability of affordable and attractive loans and other incentives to boost the work of private medical services providers.
The same appeal can be made to relevant government agencies responsible for tax administration with a view to consider further incentives on tax reduction for our private medical services providers to reduce the cost of healthcare and enable average Nigerians to afford basic healthcare service from the private practitioners in augmentation to the public health services in the country, including introducing and intervention funds like that of agriculture to the health sector.
While presenting face masks and sanitizers to the First Lady as part of measures to intensify campaign on the dangers of COVID-19, Mrs. Buhari urged Nigerians to remain vigilant and adhere strictly to the advice of authorities in a bid to take preventive measures against contracting coronavirus. The Guild of Medical Directors consists of all proprietors of private hospitals in Nigeria established in 1990. From the State House, Aliu Kabir, NTA.
The Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has sought the understanding of ASU on the enrollment of its members into the Integrated Payroll Personnel Information System, that's IPPIS, which he stressed is a federal law. At a meeting convened by the House as part of intervention efforts in order to have ASU suspend the 2 weeks warning strike, Femi Gbajabiamila allayed fears entertained that the enrollment of ASU members into IPPIS will affect research and knowledge transfer amongst tertiary institutions. He appealed to ASU to suspend the strike in view of ongoing discussions to resolve the issues at stake.
For the sake of the children out there, a 2 week, a 3 week, a 4 week strike can have long-term effects on the children out there.
The meeting between federal government representatives and members of academic staff unions of universities ASU has resolved to continue their meeting on Tuesday next week after ASU must have met with their members on the new proposal contained in the Memorandum of Action.
ASU have a platform which they are developing called UTAS, University Transparent and Accounting System. We have had some preliminary agreements on what is to be done to accommodate the two systems.
The proposals that came up, we cannot pronounce on them until we consult with our members.
After the technical meeting, both parties later realized that they are working in the interest of the nation. In its efforts to ensure that more Nigerians benefit from the social investments program of the federal government, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has welcomed partnership with the Nigerian Air Force so that its personnel can be beneficiaries. Ruth Aguele reports that this decision was reached when the Chief of the Air Staff paid a visit to the ministry.
It's a new dawn for officers of the Nigerian Air Force, with this visit by the Chief of the Air Staff to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to solicit support from the ministry to enroll Air Force primary school pupils as beneficiaries of the homegrown school feeding program and empowerment of its personnel under the Empower scheme.
We have quite a number of graduates also in our bases that are yet to be employed, and we know that you have a program that takes care of that people, and I believe that our personnel who are fighting in different theaters of operation will probably benefit from some of these programs.
For the ministry, it is a right step in the right direction as part of its mandate to ensure that every citizen keys into the federal government's initiatives.
As we are aware, the government has some social intervention programs that are now embedded in the ministry. We have the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program called the JIP. We also have the Job Creation Unit. I think we can partner with you to see how we can support the Nigerian Air Force community.
After all the talk, both parties here are looking forward to a sustained partnership. In another development, UNICEF is set to support the ministry to improve on its homegrown school feeding program in curtailing the burden of malnutrition and also expand interventions in humanitarian and social protection.
Mainly because the burden in Nigeria is one of the highest in the world, and if we can achieve the SDGs in Nigeria, Africa will achieve the SDGs and the rest of the world will.
The minister assured the team of a better working relationship by tapping into its expertise in meeting the sustainable development goals for Nigeria. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
Responding to the federal government's quest to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years, the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, has held a National Skills Summit where it emphasized that harmonizing skills acquisition and education curricula is the way to go.
Bright Orue does not have an academic certificate in carpentry, but has become a successful furniture maker as a result of skills acquired in that field.
It benefited from government agencies because of my kind of work.
There are thousands of Bright in the country who are contributing to the economic development of the nation. Now one of the apex employment generation institutions through skills acquisition, Industrial Training Fund is making case for the country to pay more attention to skills as an antidote to unemployment.
Bring together skills development agencies and practitioners to exchange ideas and facilitate professional networking and technical collaboration.
Citing the Asian Tigers model, speakers here believe the country's economy can do much better with skills and private-public partnership.
The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has demonstrated its commitment to turn around the fortunes of Nigeria.
With this maiden edition of the National Skills Summit opening a dialogue window for de-emphasizing certificates, it is expected that more Brights will emerge to generate employment and create wealth. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Now, beyond words and advocacies, women are beginning to put to action their plans and policies in a bid to attain the desired equality. That forms the theme for this year's Women's Celebration the world over. The Minister of Women Affairs herself is mobilizing women across the country to expedite the realization of this dream. Momso Demendati has details.
From civil society organizations, development partners, associations and unions, women gathered. Led by their minister, they proceeded to the office of the head of service of the Federation to show solidarity and celebrate one of their own.
Nigerian women have done so well.
So if we want to jumpstart the economy, the right people to empower is the woman.
What I keep telling the women in service is that they should stand tall. They are more dedicated, and so they shouldn't go out looking for handouts, because in their own vein they can really excel.
It didn't just end there. The team proceeded to the Court of Appeal, where the president, who is also a woman, and other top-ranking officers of the court waited to hear them out.
We are appealing for gender equality.
Women in position cannot afford to fail. Otherwise, we will block the chances of those coming behind us.
A pleasant experience it was, with more men picking interest on the topic of discuss and probably to join the he for she campaign train. Momso Damien at NTA News.
Interestingly, I'm a he for she. All right, let's take you to Lagos, where we hear the traffic situation there is increasingly becoming a hard nut to crack, as the closure of the Alaka section of Eko Bridge has incurred more hardship on Lagosians. Michael Olale reports that the alternative routes provided by the state government could not handle the situation.
An unusual calmness on the Alaka section of Eko Bridge, a quietness that is rare on a weekday in Lagos. Traffic has been diverted due to the deplorable state of the bridge and diffused to other areas around this location. The impact is massive, especially on motorists and commuters coming from Ojuelegba Surulere, as the alternative provided at Ipmonri Under Bridge and Eric Moore could no longer cope with the volume of trucks and lorries.
The Costain Bridge is an alternative route for commuters navigating Lagos Island, but the project, which started about 6 months ago, is still under construction, and at peak period, a journey of 30 minutes could turn to 6 hours.
I've been the order for the past 2 hours now. If it's today's vehicle is all good, it's going to be a problem.
First way they go office now, you go affect them. Where office not being on, you go affect them. If you tell your guy hold up, you go say your guy make him come up for us very early, and it won't go possible. But it not be firewood.
You know, development comes with some bit of pressure and discomfort. But the beauty of it is, at the end of the day, is going to be for the benefit of all of us.
With increase in the loss of traffic hours, bracing up for the challenges in the coming days entails sleepless nights. This is because Eko Bridge is one of the 3 bridges that connects the Lagos mainland with the island, and with its present deplorable state, the number of vehicles expected under the 2 existing bridges will definitely increase. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Quite an ordeal for Lagosians there. To ensure public participation in governance, the Freedom of Information Act was passed. And almost a decade after its passage, the National Orientation Agency and critical stakeholders are evaluating its application and impact on national development. Annie Daniels has details.
The Freedom of Information Act 2011 was passed by both chambers of the 6th National Assembly in 2011 and assented by former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan same year. The Stakeholders Forum is to evaluate its application and impact on national development.
Essentially, it is part of what will be used for accountability purposes and open governance, for people to appreciate what government is doing and what government is not doing.
One of our core values is transparency, we have fairness, we have service orientation and timeliness. Freedom of Information Act has helped to also drive that transparency.
In spite of its importance, critical stakeholders here found that institutions are yet to comply with the FOI Act's 2011 terms, thereby inhibiting its full implementation and success.
When we write those FOIs, those letters sometimes may not get to the head of the agency that the information is being requested from. But when you go on social media, you're able to tag the agency.
It's good to have a website whereby everybody could get your information. And then if you don't really understand what's on the website, then you could come to the various agency you're requesting from, and they will attend to you.
Stakeholders at this forum unanimously agree that the FOI Act remains a veritable tool for building a transparent and corrupt-free society. And its success, they say, depends solely on the sincerity of all parties involved. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Thank you.
This is back.
Thank you. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says the federal government is already working towards a zero oil economic plan for the near future, noting that the dwindling global oil price may just be a blessing in disguise for Nigeria. He said this while receiving members of the Abuja Chambers of Commerce and Industry in his office. Mitari Ikben reports on this and other engagements of the SGF.
The Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry delegation was at the presidency to seek support for the building of an industrial park in Abuja. The park will serve as an agricultural hub for West Africa, with value chain machines and prospects for 200,000 direct jobs for Nigerians.
To make sure that we have an agricultural sustainable economy, and if we are producing a lot, we need to produce more.
Welcoming the initiative, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, believes that the current trend in the global oil market justifies government's economic diversification drive.
This partnership is a clear indication and the direction of the future. We must change our strategies, we must change our focus, and we must work assiduously to grow a diversified economy that would be totally not dependent on oil for proceeds.
The SGF also received the management of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. He urged the management team not to relent in regular review and tracking of the revenues of ministries, departments and agencies of government, which he says are critical to government's accelerated economic diversification plan.
The searchlight can go much deeper behind the curtains, check whatever infractions there are there.
And we're doing so by the communication we sent to the SGF about public officers who are under prosecution, that action should be taken against them.
The ICPC boss said the anti-graft agency has put machinery in motion to devolve the anti-corruption fight to the sub-national levels. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Nigerian Air Force has commenced another integrated air and ground training of its fighting forces and army personnel for enhanced performance in dealing with security challenges through inter-service cooperation. Suleiman Abdullahi Rekachukung reports.
The need for specialized training towards national defense and security informed the selection of 80 special forces from the Air Force and Army for the exercise, which involves training on ground and air operations, back helicopter gunners, extraction and fast rope insertion to facilitate supply of combat requirements during operations.
In our context, the Nigerian Army is the principal surface force that we provide support for. So for us to be able to provide the kind of support they need, we need to train together, we need to understand each other, and we need to work together.
Chief of the Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, represented by Chief of Training and Operations Nigerian Air Force Air Vice Marshal James Goni, also inaugurated a dining hall in honor of Corporal Komo, who died in active service, Panthers Hall, and blocks of classrooms for training of personnel. In Kaduna, Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkung, NTA News.
There is the need for all states of the Federation to enact enabling laws on road management services to ensure sanity and safety on Nigerian roads. Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi emphasized this at the workshop of the Nigeria Road Safety Strategy Workshop in Abuja, saying only 18 states have so far complied. Oyeyemi Ajayi reports.
For a long time, global road crashes have been concern of not just world leaders, but international organizations. In 2014, a short-term Nigeria Road Safety Strategy (NRSS) document was launched by the National Road Safety Advisory Council, headed by the Vice President Yemi Oshinbajo, to propel a deliberate action towards 35% road crashes reduction in the country between 2014 to 2018.
Nigeria has shown sincere commitment to road safety by developing the first ever Nigerian road safety strategy, NRSS-1.
2014 to 2018 strategy, therefore, streamlined road safety activities, determined relevant actions.
Now, with the expiration of that time frame, though with some acclaimed successes, it becomes necessary for second edition of the NRSS for 2019 to 2023, with the target of 0% road crashes in the country.
That the key targets of the National Road Safety Strategy 2 includes establishment of State Road Safety Advisory Council.
It's more robust this time around. If you look at the document, it's more robust, and I strongly believe that we are going to achieve the goals. We're already on course.
The NRSS2 document, which will soon be launched after approval, is expected to serve as a guide for motorists and commuters on better road management. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA.
Let's bring sports now. Delta State vows to retain title at Edo 2020. Tamara Ebiwe tells us more on sports update.